Have you ever stopped and just considered the real limits of our minds? What secrets might actually be hiding in there, beyond what science tells us right now? Today, we're doing a deep dive into this really fascinating world of psychic abilities. We're using a source called Psychic Abilities Everyone Can Unlock as our main guide here. It definitely challenges some common ideas.
It really does. And our mission today is basically to unpack some of these, well, pretty intriguing claims. We'll look at historical accounts, some experiments too, that kind of push against what we think is possible. And we'll explore this really provocative idea. What if these extraordinary abilities aren't just for a few special people? What if they're dormant, maybe inside all of us, just waiting?
Exactly. And hopefully this deep dive gives you a bit of a shortcut, helps you get informed on a topic that's honestly captivated people for thousands of years. You see it in ancient texts, right up to modern science, trying to figure it all out. So yeah, let's jump in. Okay, so psychic abilities, they pop up really early in history, right?
Yeah.
Often seen as this kind of supernatural gift, a way to see beyond just the physical stuff. And historically, there was this belief that mental power could actually control matter. That led to ideas about alchemy, prophecy, even supernatural healing. It's amazing how persistent these ideas are.
It really is. And a great place to start exploring this is levitation.
Right, floating.
Exactly. The ability to lift your body off the ground against gravity with no physical support. Now, obviously, skepticism is, well, it's the default reaction, isn't it?
Sure.
But the history here is just surprisingly full of accounts, people claiming to have seen it, often many witnesses. Take, for instance, St. Joseph of Cupertino. Heard of him?
Vaguely, yes. The flying monk.
Sort of, yeah. He was apparently seen levitating many, many times. And not just by random people, but by hundreds, including the Pope. What's really compelling is the Church's investigation process for sainthood. It was incredibly thorough. They gathered over 150 detailed eyewitness testimonies about his levitations.
150.
Wow. And these weren't just anyone. We're talking cardinals, the Pope, inquisitors, people of high standing. It makes it harder to just, dismiss. The Church itself was initially quite distrustful of him, actually. It wasn't like they were eager to promote it. His situation was almost parallel to Galileo's in some ways, both viewed with suspicion, though for totally different reasons, obviously.
Huh. Interesting comparison.
And it's not just him. You find accounts across history, even reports today about, say, devoted Buddhist monks in the Himalayas. It seems almost every spiritual tradition has stories about levitation, often linked to spiritual advancement.
Okay, so from lifting the body.
Yeah.
What about moving things outside the body? Telekinesis. That one feels particularly, dramatic. Moving objects just by thinking about it.
It is captivating, isn't it? And there's some interesting research, or at least claims around it. Some researchers think it involves creating powerful physical fields.
Physical field.
Yeah.
Like magnetism or something.
Sort of. They talk about generating strong electromagnetic fields, even acoustic signals, though very briefly. Others prefer the term psychokinesis, suggesting it's purely mental effort causing the effect.
But it's hard to study, right? Because it's so rare.
Extremely rare. That's the biggest hurdle. Finding people who can supposedly do it consistently under controlled conditions is tough. But people have tried. Dr. Robert G. John at Princeton, he ran a lab looking into abnormal studies.
At Princeton, okay.
Yeah. And after thousands of experiments with hundreds of different people, all ages, backgrounds, he reported results suggesting the mind could affect physical objects. One famous experiment involved a pendulum under a clear cover. Subjects tried to move it mentally. He found 5 people who could apparently do it reliably, anytime, any distance. Others managed it occasionally.
5 people consistently. That's significant, if true.
It is, and other scientists have reported mild effects on really sensitive things like precision clocks, lasers, electronic noise generators, even liquids like water or emulsions.
So what's the implication then?
Well, the source we're drawing from claims that maybe each of us is endowed with these paranormal abilities, that they were once natural, widely used, but now they're just latent, sleeping.
Dormant, like you said earlier.
Exactly, and maybe future work could uncover the nature of this special psycho-energy they talk about. It really challenges that strict separation we assume between mind and matter.
It definitely makes you think. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From affecting the physical world to leaving it behind. Astral projection. This is the idea of your consciousness separating from your body, right?
Mhm.
experiencing things without using your normal senses. You see it in movies like Insidious or Doctor Strange.
Precisely. And while it sounds like total fantasy, there's one experiment, or account rather, that's often cited as compelling evidence. It involved a psychic named Harold Sherman. So this was back before the Mariner 10 space probe reached Mercury in 1974. Sherman's astral goal, as he put it, was to go check out Mercury beforehand.
Astral projection to Mercury.
That was the claim. And after his supposed journey, he reported that the planet had an atmosphere, but a very thin one.
And what did scientists say?
Well, initially, everyone involved with Mariner 10 pretty much scoffed at it. Mercury wasn't expected to have a significant atmosphere. But then, when Mariner 10 actually got there and sent back data, it found that Mercury did have a thin atmosphere, just as Sherman had described.
Seriously, he was right.
He was right. Now, correlation isn't causation, of course, but it's a fascinating data point. The source suggests this makes astral projection have a very high potential of being in the realm of possibilities. It definitely makes you question how information might be accessed.
That is genuinely startling. Okay, from something as subtle as detecting an atmosphere. What about controlling something really elemental like fire, pyrokinesis? The ability to create or control fire with the mind. I mean, that sounds completely impossible to most people, myself included probably.
It does push the boundaries of belief, absolutely. But again, there are these reported cases that make you pause. Like in 2011, there was a story about a 3-year-old girl in the Philippines. She apparently drove the media crazy because she could predict fires, and then clothes or pillows would just ignite right after she predicted it.
A 3-year-old?
Yes. And the reports claim that police and fire officials witnessed fires starting near her without her physically touching anything.
Sounds unsettling.
In another case, an 11-year-old girl in Vietnam, she apparently puzzled many scientists. Fires would spontaneously occur around her short circuits, burnt sockets, even her clothes catching fire sometimes.
Wow. Again, these are anecdotal, but it makes you wonder about energy we don't understand.
Exactly. What kind of hidden energies could be involved? What physics would need rethinking if this were proven real?
Speaking of energy, let's talk about the brain itself. Neural manipulation, energy beams. The idea that our brain holds immense power. I mean, think about electricity in metal-free electrons moving together. What if our neurons, billions of them, could act like tiny dynamos if directed?
Precisely. Imagine the sheer amount of power, heat, electricity that could theoretically be generated by the brain if harnessed. Some ancient texts describe the brain's potential in ways that make our modern understanding of neural networks seem, well, maybe a bit superficial in comparison, according to this source.
And we know the brain uses electricity, right?
Oh, yes. Factually, there are at least 20 watts of electrical power continuously flowing in the brain. It's just part of its normal function.
So the leap is, could we consciously control that?
That's the tantalizing question. Could we channel actual physical energy just using our minds? It makes you think, maybe those superhero powers in movies, maybe they aren't pure fantasy. Perhaps exaggerated, but rooted in some potential.
A mind-bending thought indeed. And if the brain can generate energy, can it also control itself? Or even others? Let's get into supernatural strength and control.
Right, and this brings us to the work of Dr. George Delgado. His experiments are really something. He did demonstrations apparently showing you could control basic feelings, hunger, thirst, even sexual desire, by targeting specific brain centers, controlling neural activity.
How did he do that?
Well, one famous example involved a monkey named Ali. Delgado gave Ali a banana, which monkeys usually love. While Ali was eating, Delgado recorded his EEG, his brainwaves.
Okay.
Then he sent specific electrical signals back into Ali's brain, essentially ordering it to throw the banana away.
And did it work?
Astonishingly, yes. Ali reportedly just stopped eating and threw the banana, despite being hungry and liking bananas. Delgado also claimed success using similar electrical stimulation methods to treat patients for various conditions.
Electrical stimulation is one thing, but what about purely mental control?
Well, that leads to even more extraordinary accounts, like Swami Herodas, an Indian classical music expert and saintly figure. To demonstrate the power of yoga to a British general, he was apparently buried alive in a pit, once for 10 days, another time for 40 days.
40 days. Buried. And he survived.
Emerged perfectly healthy, according to the accounts. And interestingly, the top center of his head, where some Hindus have a sika, or hair tuft, apparently became hot like fire.
Why is that significant?
In yoga traditions, that spot is considered crucial for higher consciousness, mind-to-mind communication, telepathy, hypnosis.
Okay, that's incredible. What about Delgado again? Did he try purely mental influence?
He did in a very dramatic way. He apparently set up a situation where two bulls were triggered to charge each other head-on, a very dangerous situation.
Yikes.
Right as they were about to collide, Delgado claimed he sent a strong mental signal to both animals, a message of peace over violence. He said he focused intensely to telepathically penetrate their minds.
And what happened to the bulls?
The report says they stopped abruptly, just stood there calmly, near each other, like domestic goats. Some hissing, maybe, but no aggression.
That's, if true, that's profound.
It suggests, doesn't it, that maybe planting an idea or influencing behavior mentally isn't just science fiction. And look at modern tech, like that MIT alter ego device. It supposedly listens to your thoughts, not your speech. Makes you wonder, could we eventually communicate just by thinking telepathically if our consciousness evolves?
Telepathic communication. Wow. Okay, let's move to another related area. Channeling and mediumship. This idea of communicating with spirits, or even a spirit using someone's body to speak, that's been around forever, hasn't it?
For millennia, absolutely. Shamans, prophets, mediums throughout history claiming to hear voices, receive knowledge from, beyond. Modern channelers often talk about spirit guides. These are seen as friendly entities offering wisdom and help on a spiritual path. Sia Roman and Dwayne Packer, who wrote a book on channeling, describe it as a powerful means of spiritual unfoldment. They say it builds a bridge to a higher collective consciousness, what some call God, or the universal mind.
So how does it supposedly work? The process.
It usually involves consciously shifting your mental state, often through meditation, trying to quiet the everyday mind, break free from worldly distractions, and tune into that higher consciousness or specific spirits. Sometimes they actively seek contact, other times they feel contacted unexpectedly.
Is it something anyone can do?
Well, the analogy they use is playing the piano. Almost anyone can probably learn the basics with practice. A casual attempt can be enriching.
But mastery takes effort.
Exactly. Learning to do it well takes energy, commitment, and like any skill, it seems to come more easily to some than others. There's also a belief mentioned in the source that skills we develop in one lifetime, including psychic ones, might lead to greater innate talent in future lives.
Like we plan it beforehand.
That's the idea, that we plan our lives, make agreements with guides or sources to help us learn specific things or fulfill a life task. And this apparently applies to all psychic abilities, not just channeling.
We have certainly covered a lot of ground today, some really mind-bending concepts. And this is just a fraction of what's claimed out there, right?
Oh, absolutely, just scratching the surface. But the core idea running through much of this material is that psychic abilities might be a gift, yes, but also something that can potentially be practiced, learned, maybe even mastered by anyone.
So thinking about you, the listener, what's the takeaway? It seems that while maybe everyone can develop these things, actually understanding the phenomena, maybe dedicating some time, even just a few hours a month, to practical exercises could really make a difference.
It could, and maybe the biggest question to leave you with is this. Exploring the non-physical, perceiving reality beyond our usual senses, how could that broaden your perspective on life, on your own development as a consciousness? What hidden potentials might you have waiting to be explored? It's certainly something to think about.